championship of the world.
I get up in the morning, I want it. I go to bed at night, I dream about it.
What really sustains him is not just the power in his fists, but the power of his will.
Moore seems to be gaining confidence.
Teddy always taught me, if you're a complete fighter, you're able to fight anybody at any time.
He's a 45-year-old man in a young man's game.
George could break ribs with punches.
Starting to get Moore's respect.
George has sweatshirts older than Moore.
Other than being boxers, there was nothing in common at all.
In 1988, Michael Moore arrived at the Kronk Gym in Detroit, a program unparalleled in the production of champion boxers. A small-town kid from Monessen, Pennsylvania, Moore quickly adapted to his new surroundings.
We turned him professionally in March of 1988, and in December of 1988, on nationwide television, he was the new light heavyweight championship of the world.
Moore just putting her side away as the referee Grable steps between, and he has...
Michael Moore was definitely one of the greatest light heavyweights I've had in the history of boxing.
Michael Moore had knocked out every opponent he faced as a light heavyweight. With nothing left to prove in the light heavyweight division, he became a heavyweight, facing men often 80 pounds heavier than any previous opponent.
Fight goes down less than a minute into the fight.
By the time that Michael Moore had began fighting as a heavyweight, he also had made big changes in his mental makeup. He wanted to do things more his way. Regardless of what you would tell him, he wanted to prove you wrong.
So in 1991, Michael Moore moved out of Emanuel Stewart's house in Detroit, which he thought of as a home. His trainer and surrogate father had sold his contractual interests. For nearly 2 years, Moore had a series of trainers, many of whom questioned his desire and mental makeup. In 1993, Moore's manager, John Davamos, hired trainer Teddy Atlas, whose reputation was of a tough-loving disciplinarian.
He would push me and I'd push him right back. He wasn't taking any shit, neither was I.
He had been abandoned by a father. He had been abandoned in certain situations professionally, so he wanted to test to see if you were really gonna be there.
In only their second fight together, Moore and Atlas walked into the ring to face the greatest challenge of their collective careers, a heavyweight championship fight with Evander Holyfield.
Let's get it on!
Will Michael Moore get it on?
Short punches inside, doing damage for Moore. Already his punching power a factor in the bout. Holyfield knocks him down.
Early in the fight, Atlas confronted Moore about his passive approach in the biggest fight of his life.
You go in there and you start backing this guy up and you start doing what we trained to do. Otherwise, don't come back to this fucking corner. Do you hear me?
Where's the fire? Where's the passion? Where's the desperate need to win the title?
You're lying to yourself because you're gonna cry tomorrow. You're lying to yourself, and I'd lie to you if I let you get away with that.
Boxing tradition suggests that a challenger must take the title from a champion, especially a respected champion like Evander Holyfield. Atlas worried Moore wasn't doing enough.
There comes a time in a man's life, but he makes a decision to just live, survive, or he wants to win. You're doing just enough to keep him off you and hope he leaves you alone.
Can Moore win a championship this way? Does he have to show some passion and make something happen? Or can he just go along trying to win each round?
Do you want me to change places with you? You're blowing it. You're blowing it. You're satisfied just to do enough to keep him off you. You can't do that now. In this world, we can't do that all the time.
You heard it. That's as good as anybody can say it.
As the fight progressed, Moore began to heed Atlas's instructions and went after Holyfield. To many, it seemed Teddy Atlas willed Michael Moore to victory.
They made him the star, but I was the fighter who brought that out in him.
One last assault from the challenger.
And new heavyweight champion of the world!
As a young man, Foreman was regarded as one of the sport's most brutal contenders.
He's not normal. He was never normal.
Frazier has never taken this kind of punishment, and it goes down at the bell.
When he hit Joe Frazier, I thought the world was coming to an end.
That George Foreman intimidated the hell out of a lot of opponents. He would just come in, growl, throw punches, and go home.
If you could survive 1 or 2 rounds with me, which would be a lot of pain and probably a lot of heartbreak in your life, because not only could I hurt you for those few rounds, 2 or 3 rounds in my previous career, I could really do damage to your body physically and your brain.
But Foreman would soon meet his match. In 1974, he fought Muhammad Ali in Zaire and lost the championship of the world.
Ali, a sneaky right hand. Another sneaky right hand.
When I was on the floor, losing the championship of the world.
If you look at those film clips carefully and watch Zach Clayton's count, Foreman is up at 9. And so beaten, he just goes to his corner. Just walks off. He was beaten mentally more than physically.
The bitter memories of losing his title haunted Foreman. He retired in 1977, and for the next 10 years served as an evangelist minister in his hometown of Houston, Texas.
The little fame and fortune we get is not going to follow us in the grave, brother and sister.
13 years after losing the heavyweight title, he began his seemingly impossible quest to regain it.
George came to me and said, "Butch, I'm coming back in boxing. What do you think about handling?" And I talked to him and I said, "George, this is a young man's sport. You should leave it alone."
His return to the ring in 1987 was greeted with mocking laughter from the media.
When this comeback started, I was one of the guys going, "Oh, come on, please, boy, you know, some guys will do anything for a buck."
257. 257.
His physique was not as appealing as it was many years ago.
I had to hear all of that, and this is why I had to be in the most supreme condition of my life.
Foreman persevered for several years, facing opponents who ranged from dangerous to worthy to highly overmatched. When he first came out of retirement, he was considered a better story than fighter because of his selection of opponents. This perception changed overnight.
Right hand on the surface of Holyfield's head.
In 1991, Foreman fought Evander Holyfield in his first attempt to regain the title.
His fight with Holyfield was terrific, and he really fought well and fought bravely, and people started to look at George Foreman in a different light.
And they're applauding George Foreman for his courage and persistence.
With his well-constructed comeback in its 7th year, Foreman found himself in line for a title shot.
A few days after Michael Moorer beat Evander Holyfield, I got a call from George. And I said, "George, you can't kid me. You want to fight Michael Moorer." And he said, "More than anything else in the world, get me that fight."
Many still doubted whether at age 45, Foreman could recapture the title taking on a 26-year-old heavyweight champion. But George continued being his own pitchman.
I just want to go out there, show the world that 45 and 55 is not a death sentence. We can do anything we want to do.
Tonight, live from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing as Michael Moorer, WBA and IBF heavyweight champion, defends his title against the one and only George Foreman.
Let's get ready to rumble! Ladies and gentlemen, introducing from Houston, Texas, the challenger, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Big George Foreman. From the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, presenting the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Moorer.
In Las Vegas. Foreman managed to get himself in a great shape, as you can see. Now, the interesting thing is, George has been out of the ring for nearly 18 months, possibly that much more vulnerable.
as the fight progresses. That's the logic, that's the thinking. Trump somehow gets to Mora's body, slow him down. That's a good right hand, the best punch of the fight so far. Mora took it quite well, but you knew he'd taken a shot, then comes back with his own short right hook over the top of Foreman's fairly low hand. Joe Cortez has been an invisible man up until this point. That's a good right hand. Stopped Mora in his tracks. George looked for it. In fact, George has spent the best part of 2 minutes looking for it. Big George not afraid to take the shot. There's the right hand again, left himself open for the counter. Took the counter on his shoulder. There's the right hand again. That's a good right hook, a southpaw right hook. And George Foreman forced the hole. The feeling before the fight in the press room and in the press, the feeling was that Michael would be too sharp, too fast, too young. Only effective if he can slip inside and land faster punches, like the jab. It's another Mora round, but Foreman's still there. Still looking to unleash that right hand. Still looking to pull the younger man. 19 years younger, still looking to pull him round. I sense that Michael Mora will be getting the facts of life and Teddy Atlas in about 80-odd seconds time. Big George, that's a jarring right hand. Mora took it on, it's another right hand and a great comeback jab. And a superb short right uppercut there for Michael Mora, followed by a right hook. But George is coming forward, right cross, left hook. It's the 6th round of the fight that most people didn't expect to go 6 rounds. George over the front foot, going forward. Mora battling desperately to try and push him back. You can't push a bulk like that backwards if he's coming at you throwing punches. The best thing you can do is not get caught. Mora's not doing very well at that. Another jarring right hand. Mora battling back with his own jabs. Foreman another right hand. It's the best round so far. Crushing right hook there from Mora, forcing Foreman to blink. Just the speed of the punches hitting, bouncing off George's bald head. Use the jab, it's beautiful, Angelo Dundee had said, and so is that right hand. Michael Mora staggered back. That's the first time Mora's been forced back, and another right hand. He seems stuck on the ropes there, momentarily stunned. Not hurt, but certainly stuck on the ropes. Then called Foreman in. That's a disastrous thing to do. 2 great shots there. A left cross and a right hook for the first time. Foreman had no reply, no comeback. He was hurt, he was stunned by those 2 punches.
I think he was brilliant for the first 9 rounds.
He was doing everything right, but I was doing something he had not prepared for. The first punch I hit him with the straight right, it was just a little too high. He didn't move out of the way because he was kind of stunned.
Michael Mora needs to go back to working. That's it! It's a short right hand! There is no way he's getting up from that. That is the face of shock and awe there. Joe Cortez finishes the count of 10. George Foreman looks up at the heavens. He is once again down on his knees to pray. Michael Mora still on his knees, doesn't know where he is. Teddy Atlas as shocked as him. George Foreman is the new heavyweight champion of the world. 45 years of age in his 77th fight, having lost possibly 9 of the previous 9 rounds, all 9 of the rounds, he delivered a right hand. He started that round fast, and he finished it with a superb right hand. Bob Arum in there giving him a kiss, a belated kiss. Michael Mora still uncertain what's happening. Stand up, Michael, says Teddy.
I had this all playing out for the previous 3 months.
Bullshit. Don't fake it. You got lucky. Don't sit there and say you planned it. By no means.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I was crushing him for 10 rounds.
And Michael Mora is down.
Goes Mora on a right hand. An unbelievably close.
He never saw it coming. Everything disconnected.
My body was completely dead.
And it was devastating. This was a chance for him to grow. If he got through it, who knows what would have been in front of him. But we didn't quite get there.
It was an unbelievable achievement, but I have to tell you that my face was not on George. My heart was with Michael Mora on the mat.
I had told George for months, George, how are you going to find him? You haven't fought in a long time. He moves in there. He goes at a different angle. He's a southpaw. He wouldn't stand still for Holyfield. Why would he stand still for you? And George said, you watch, somewhere late in the fight, he's going to come stand in front of me. Wow.
I lose the title in Zaire, and that wasn't the best of me. There I'm on the canvas, I try to beat the count. I had all kinds of excuses, but it was a hard thing, and it had been a hard thing to live down, that you are the heavyweight champ of the world, yet you don't have the title. For years, I had to live with that.
And once again, heavyweight